Coming to you from Brick House in downtown Brooklyn, this is 112 BK. On the show today, a special episode-long conversation, going against the grain. Two New York City women who push back against some of the norms and expectations that define their communities. Hi, and thanks for joining us today. I'm Ashley Ford, and I'm joined in the studio by producer Ross Tuttle. Hello, Ross.
Hello, Ashley.
Ross, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm really excited.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's good. This is our last show for the season.
This is our last show for the season.
A little sad. Bittersweet.
Bittersweet,
It's been a good season, I think.
It has been, yeah.
Next season will be even better.
Yes.
Yeah. So today we were doing things a little bit differently, trying out this episode-long conversation. We're devoting it to a single conversation with two women, defiant women who challenge norms in their communities, trying to improve quality of life for them and others like them. And it's nice to be having this conversation on the birthday of a paragon of women's and girls' defiance, talking about Malala Yousafzai.
Yes.
21 years old today.
21. Happy birthday, Malala.
Happy birthday, Malala. Wow, 6 years ago when
Yes.
she was shot by the Taliban in Pakistan for advocating for education for girls. Yeah, I mean, she's really a special individual.
She is.
Fortunately, the stakes I think people are dealing with here are not as high.
No, we are not at that point yet. I think, every once in a while, there's this conversation that happens where one side says the other side is catastrophizing and everything's okay, and the other side says, no, we're going to hell in a handbasket any minute. And the truth is always somewhere between those 2 points and always different at any given time in our history.
Feels like there are a lot of different hells, though, that we could be
There
going
are
to.
a lot of different hells, and I think people have to decide which hell they want to fight today.
Yes, that's true. Can we go off script for 1 second?
Yes, we
I know
can.
we're talking about strong women, defiant women. I want to talk about a defiant and strong man. Skyscraper comes out this weekend.
Yes, it does.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. And they're talking about this being a knockoff of, I think, like Towering Inferno
Yeah, it's
and
not the
Die
same.
Hard, but say no more. I mean, even if it is.
Yeah.
Right? But what this brings me to is, and I don't believe I missed this, but last year this effort to draft Dwayne Johnson to run for president.
Yes.
And I think, and my brother-in-law told me about it this week, and I was like, what? How did I miss that? And I think it makes a lot of sense.
Why does it make sense, Ross?
Well, look, I mean, he's a guy who he's already, he's defeated The Undertaker.
He has.
He defeated John Cena. He defeated Triple H, right? Who am I missing?
I don't know.
Booker T. I mean, look, he's vanquished all of these really tough foes.
He has.
I think, he's a guy who's got compassion.
He does.
I think he can defeat Trump, and he already has the song written for his victory night party.
What's that song? You're welcome?
What can I say? It's okay. You're welcome.
Yeah.
So
he's a demigod.
He's a demigod.
Who's come to help us out.
Totally.
Restore the heart of Tafiti.
With dancing tattoos.
With dancing tattoos. Yeah. I mean, that's the Rock I know and love. Coming up, our conversation with some norm-breaking women who do not have dancing tattoos, but really are worth your time. I think it's safe to say we've all been in a situation, at least once in our lives, where there have been expectations that we will follow a certain set of rules, a certain path that doesn't quite feel right. In some instances, and for some people, those constraints can be so dominating until we can find a way to free ourselves, if only a little, to create new space for expression, to rewrite rules, to push back against norms. Our next guests are both doing this in their own ways. The common thread is that they're both pushing up against centuries of tradition, using the tools of social media and the internet to do it. And they're trying to help others find a little freedom in their own lives in the process. We welcome to the show Zuleyha Kayi, a Muslim single mother of two trying to revolutionize dating in her community, and also being the director of sales and marketing for Muslim Girl, the Brooklyn-based website. Thank you for joining us, Zuleyha.
Thank you for having me.
And from Brooklyn's Orthodox Jewish community, Adina Miles, aka Flatbush Girl, founder of the marketing agency Flatbush Media. Welcome to 112 BK.
Thank you, Ashley.
Welcome back to 112 BK,
Thanks.
girl. Yes, okay. Can you both give us a brief bio really quickly? Can we start with you, Zuleyha?
Okay, so I am a single mother of two, survivor of DV. I am Turkish, Muslim American, New York born and raised, doing it for myself.
Aren't we all? That's what I love. Adina.
I am a storyteller, and I like to use my storytelling talents to invoke thought and challenging authority.
Yes, yes you do. And Adina, since the last time you were here, some things have changed for you. You're running for office, right?
I am.
Talk to me about that a little bit.
I had a client who approached me and asked me to help him with his marketing campaign for his campaign for district leader. And I was like, wait, tell me a little bit about that.
Yes.
Something about it just resonated.
Right.
And he was like, oh, well, you know, you can run as female district leader. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it.
And so now you're also running
Yes,
as
I am
district
submitting
leader.
my petitions at the Board of Elections this afternoon at 5:30 p.m. I have 3,000 signatures.
Look at that.
Hey. And the requirement was only 500 signatures, but I overdid it. That's how I do everything. I also do it in order to make sure if anything's like challenged that I have like a huge buffer.
Right.
Yes. Okay, we're going to come back to that
Sure,
a little
no problem.
bit because I really wanted, there were some things we talked about when you were here last time, and I wonder about that while running a campaign, especially with photos.
Right.
And photos
Yes.
of you.
Yes. So, I mean, I am about to, once I'm confirmed that I'm on the ballot, I have my posters ready to go to be hung up like within store windows all around
Right.
town. And I have a feeling that they're going to be ripped off.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that I'll be able to do some good marketing with that story.
Yeah, that's absolutely
girl.
true because all attention works.
Yeah.
And as somebody who knows quite a bit about marketing, Zuleyha,
I try.
you try, but you do. Talk to me, you talked about being a single mom, you talked about, sort of dating. Why is that a challenge?
Oh gosh, we were speaking outside before we came in, and I tried to kind of explain this in the best way possible. So there's a lot of first generation, predominantly a lot of first generation American Muslims who are in this scene, right? There's some second generation too, but most of us are first generation, and we don't have a proper template or model or framework to follow. We have maybe two examples. One is the Orthodox version, and then we also have the non-Muslim counterpart that we grew up around.
Right.
And there's a lot of gray space and a lot of middle ground, and a lot of us don't know what the heck we're doing. And so initially I would say things like, I'm redefining this, but no, I'm actually defining it. Like I'm building this from the ground up.
Oh, how does that work? Because one of the things that I really like to do in my writing in general is to shine a light into like those gray spaces and those gray areas. And I know you do that a lot in your work as well, in your comedy. And the thing, you shine a light on those gray areas that people don't always want to talk about. You know what I mean? Like it's important work, and I think we're all doing that work. But with you specifically, and with that kind of building, who does it? Like who's with you on that journey? Like that's a question for me as well. Like who's part of that building process? Because you can't do it by yourself.
Oh heck no!
Can
no,
you?
No.
Okay, all right.
I'm trying. So here's the thing. So a lot of women who look like me, what I mean by that is like a visible Muslim woman, right? A lot of us are very traditional or traditional-ish, right? And so there's this concept of ayib, right, which means that like something that is culturally inappropriate, right? So for a Muslim woman who kind of wears the headscarf, it means something, right? It means that you have to speak a certain way, even laugh a certain way, look a certain way, do things in a particular way. But when I think about it more and more, I'm an American Muslim also, and we don't have a proper, we don't know what American Islam is right now. Like that hasn't been established yet. And so this particular area, like I feel like there's so many other things that we can probably kind of combat and kind of build, but this particular I know about. I know, I've been doing this for a little bit, researching as I go along, and you had mentioned, am I doing this alone? So I guess I can say right now I'm like in the forefront, like the voice of this or maybe the image of this, and I'm starting off, like this is just literally starting off. You have to have me again when this actually picks up. But so there are people in the background, right? You know, guys and girls that I'm interviewing, that I'm getting their opinions on, I'm doing research on, I ask them these questions, and some of them are afraid. They're afraid to voice their concerns, to even admit that they're dating, you know? Like I have a couple of divorced single mom friends as well who are also Muslim, and they won't even get on apps because they're worried about the ridicule. They won't even like openly say that they're looking because they don't even feel that that's a space for them to even enter into.
Wow.
Yeah, and this is, and like, we're just as good, sometimes better, than our single, you know, non-married, you know, counterparts. Hey.
I mean, I'm looking at you and I'm like, if somebody's looking for a date, it seems like the right one. A question that I have for both of you actually is, like, at what point did you realize or sort of feel like, I've got to diverge in some way from the path I'm on right now and from like a certain expectation, you know, about how I'm going to live my life or what that's going to look like? How about we start with you, Adina?
Question. I think more for me is that, you know, I've encountered so much resistance from within my community regarding, like, you know, the social changes that I'm trying to make, or even at least the conversations I'm trying to start. And like, I've lost so many clients. I recently posted a picture of myself with a transgendered friend, and I put it on my Instagram, and I just wrote like LGBTQ with like a heart. And I, the next day, had one of my best, solid, consistent clients call me and say, "I'm sorry, we have to pull out. Like, we can't continue working with your company."
Wow.
Yeah, and of course, like, I don't betray like their identity or things like that, because it's not about that, like, you know.
Right.
But just showing the fearfulness out of which everyone is operating within the community. It's a, you know, I don't have a issue with it on a personal level, they say, but it's what's the community going to think? But then you're basically feeding into the problem. Like, why aren't you taking a stand? Be the company that stands alongside me. Why not? Like, rise to the occasion. But I guess it's a fearful position for them to be in. Yeah. So anyways, I just felt like I think I need to, you know, use more than just social commentary and humor to communicate with the audience. Maybe if I go through a channel that people take more seriously, then the words I say won't be like, oh, she's just an attention whore, she's just trying to stir up trouble, you know. And so I guess that's why I'm trying to like pivot a little bit more into like the political realm, to show that I'm really serious. And like the role I'm trying to, you know, the position I'm trying to go for is a volunteer position. There's no taxpaying dollars going towards me. I've invested so much money even trying to campaign for this. And I think that shows a certain amount of commitment of, you know,
you're here to do the work.
I'm here to do the work. I'm not lazy. I have my team. I'll put in my own money. You know, I'll do the fundraising that I need to do. Give me a chance and try to just take me a little more seriously.
Have you always been like this?
No.
No?
No, not at all.
Well, when did you like, that, I guess that's what I'm like, at what point were you like, who I am is not consistent with who I'm expected to be. And so I'm gonna be who I am. Like, how does that happen for a person?
I guess maybe I was always like that. Yeah? Yeah, I think I was born that way.
Yeah? And you just stood up for yourself.
Oh yeah, I was always talking back to my parents. I was always challenging them. I was like, don't tell me what to do.
Yes. Were you always like this, Zuleyha?
Gosh, like this. What do you mean by this?
You're so dynamic. And you are a person who, I mean, you are, like, from the moment, you know, from the moment you stepped up in here, it was like, oh, she's a dynamo. She's dynamic. And it just makes me wonder, you know, like, at what point did you, like, how did you decide, like, no, I'm going to date? Like, I deserve and I want, and I'm going to date.
So I guess I've always been, my parents used to make fun of me and say, you know, are you so-and-so's lawyer again? Are you this one's lawyer again? Because I would always, because I saw a lot of, interestingly, I wasn't brought up in a traditional kind of Muslim household. It was a secular Turkish household. And so Islam was not really a part of, I mean, we identified as Muslim, but we weren't really, we didn't practice. And so, but even then, like, there was was a lot of sexism, right? And it bothered me that guys, even within the Turkish culture, not Islamic, but at the time I didn't know the difference, that they got to do what they wanted to do, but girls couldn't. And so, and it was beyond that. Obviously, if I was in, if I was at the park or something and someone did something wrong, like I was the first one to be like, you can't hit her, So yeah, but I will say that when I got married and I decided to live the ultra-Orthodox lifestyle, things kind of changed because my partner, my husband, he was extremely abusive and I went through a lot of trauma. And I want to say this, like I think that therapy is so important. I've been working on myself for 3 years. I still go to therapy every Wednesday, and I've transformed and I think I'm better than I used to be pre-marriage. And so I do know when I kind of was like, I'm gonna own this, and that was in December. And I kind of had the help of my girlfriends, so this is kind of how it works, right, in the Muslim world. Like, you'll have, like, aunties kind of approach you and be like, oh, there's this Turkish guy, or, like, there's this other, or, like, guys, they slide up in the DMs and, and I'm like, I'm not ready. And so I made a post about it. Like, look, I'm not ready. I'll let you know when I am. And so I had a lot of people kind of contact me, like, Z, they call me Z. They're like, Z, you're not going to wake up one day and think that you're ready. You need to put yourself out there.
Wow.
And I was like, you're right. And so I did.
That's
amazing.
And that's so recent, and you've come so far in such a short time.
I streamline my stuff, girl. Like, I'm on it. Yeah. So since but I mean, so the whole dating aspect. I mean, because it's a huge problem in our community. Like we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what we're doing, and people are depressed. They're sad. They're lonely. They're traumatized. And again, we can't blame our families. They came here to live the American dream. They came here for better opportunities. And so while they were struggling, trying to survive and provide for us, they didn't have the opportunity to teach us about love and about marriage, about intimacy, and how to be. And a lot of us came from really traumatic households too, where there was abuse and sexism. How do you unpackage that trauma? How do you even know to do that? And so we're seriously like at the foundational level right now. And there are not a lot of people who are talking about this. Like I Googled this all the time. I'm always checking. There's like articles that come out and there's videos that come up, but who is really tackling this? And especially someone who looks like me. And I mean, and not just looks like me, but I'm single mother of 2. I'm in my 30s, although I'm forever 27. Yes.
Forever.
And, forever, ever and ever, because I work on myself.
Yes.
And, but I'm Turkish. I'm also part Kurdish. I'm a Muslim, but I'm a New Yorker. I'm an American. And so what does that mean? And it's not just my voice that should be out there. Like there is a lot of room in this space we should all be talking about this. We should all be kind of coming together to work on this. And so I think, like I'm putting myself out there. I know that there's going to be a lot of backlash, a lot of problems, but I'm ready. I'm ready, and my intentions are pure. I want to help people. I want to help people.
You're a real conversation. I like that. Like, I like the conversation starting as. I mean, that's honestly why I like the both of you so much, because more than I think either of you are trying to be right or trying to like push a certain point of view, both of you are more so like, why aren't we talking to each other about certain things? And how do we talk to each other about that more? I know you're the single mom of 2 kids.
2 boys.
2 boys. You are a married mom of 2 boys, and you've been married for 12 years. And one of the things that I noticed, I watched a video going in with Brian Vines. They did an interview with Adina and with quite a bit of her family.
It was fun.
And it was so much fun. But one of the things I noticed about your husband specifically, and I love this because my fiance tends to be the same way, is he is just 100% down for you and incredibly supportive. And when they ask him about, some of these more traditional things that you don't adhere to, he's like, why would I? For him, it's like, why would I? Look at how amazing she is. Why would I try to change this?
I actually went to a Jewish courthouse yesterday for the first time. And it's this very ancient sort of tradition where rather than using the non-Jewish court system, sometimes if you have a dispute with your fellow Jew, you go to the Jewish courts and they use the Torah to decide how to make a judgment. And it was like these 3 men, with the long curls, with the black hats. And they made me do this procedure where I lift a handkerchief to indicate my submission to the verdict that they give. And it was very whatever. And throughout the process of me giving my testimony and my opponent giving her testimony, I was just being really tough with them, like really tough. They were saying at one point, oh, well, we're not going to give a verdict. We're going to think of the most peaceful way to do it. And I was just talking back and being like, no. You need to show us that you have what. Sorry, we're not thing on the table.
That's okay.
You need to show us. You need to show us that you have what it takes to make a verdict. That you you have balls. Do it. You know. And I was just being a little bit emasculating them. You know, showing them we're female. We're listening to you. You know, maybe a female can't be a judge, but. And when I came home and I was telling my partner over the whole story and telling him all the ways in which I was giving them not attitude out of disrespect, but just more being
just asserting yourself.
Yes, I was like, come on, guys,
in your, yes, absolutely.
And he was sitting there, he's yeah. I wish I was there.
Yes.
I wish I was there.
Yes.
And so just on that, I think he's enjoying the show.
Right. I love that.
That's
I love
so important,
that.
though. But that's
it seems
so
like
important, especially in these religious spaces. I don't want to call it that way, but traditional spaces. It can make or break you. It can make or break you.
So true.
And that's for him to be your number one cheerleader, on the front lines with you. That's such a blessing. Bless you guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I actually like it. Do you guys have any questions for each other? This is something that I'd love to hear.
Okay.
I do. So I've heard that there's a similar tradition within the Muslim world having to do with when women are menstruating and then their separation from their husbands during that time and then the reintroductions through some sort of cleansing process. Because I know that we have that sort of tradition. And I'm just wondering in what ways maybe it might overlap in a way that's, respectful, just to understand.
Sure. I love
you
this.
know?
Thank you for asking that first and foremost. And everyone else who's watching, whenever you have a question, ask us. Ask us. Okay. So with regard to a woman menstruating, sometimes there's different rules according to different methodologies, but from the gist of it is, from my understanding, is that when a woman is menstruating, she can't have sex with her partner. So that's the one restriction. The biggest restriction is that she's not allowed to be intimate.
What about
kiss,
just physical touch?
Totally physical. Oh. Yes, girl. Definitely not of that. You just can't have intercourse and you can't have oral sex.
What about anal sex?
Yeah, no. So that's a no-no from the get.
That's not allowed at all.
Wow. That's not allowed at all. Yeah, anal sex is not allowed at all. And so, so sex is off the table when the woman is menstruating. And so what happens is she doesn't have to pray 5 times a day, and meaning she doesn't have to do the physical kind of, one of the pillars of Islam is praying.
Is it because they're trying to be thoughtful of her, extending herself physically, exerting herself physically, or is it because maybe? I'm sorry, just the negative person.
I know what you're going to say.
Is it because now
she's dirty?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No, it's not because of that. It's definitely because it's like a mercy. So Islam is very much a mercy in a lot of its, most of its rulings. So it's a mercy for the woman, so she doesn't have to fast, she doesn't have to pray, and you can obviously speak to God and you can pray to God, but not in that. You don't have to do it. And actually, I actually have friends who do the physical aspect of it, but they'll still do it, but they're not required to do it. Isn't that interesting? Because they feel I've been told that they feel like something's missing in their day when they don't. So I was like, ooh, that's really interesting, right? So there's no separation of the bed. There you can still hug and kiss and all that stuff. But so since after that period is done, literally after the period is done too.
Yes, after our period.
No pun intended.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
Right after it's completed, you do a ritualistic kind of. It's like you shower and you just intend to kind of purify yourself. And that's just it's like cleaning yourself and making sure that you don't that you're not on your period again. There's different rulings, according to different, like I said, methodologies again, where if you see a little discharge that has color versus if you don't, it gets into small technical things like this. But once that ritualistic cleaning is done, you can get to it.
Wow. I did not know that at all.
So it's a little more strict from where I come from. I mean, obviously there are many different methodologies, but in addition to the 5 days, once that 5th day is complete, you need to do an additional 7 days of waiting. And during the 12 days, you're not allowed to do anything. You can't touch. You have to separate your beds. You can't even pass things to each other. You can't even pass a cup. And you shouldn't use terms of endearment like boo or love or sweetheart.
Because it's enticing.
It's enticing.
Okay.
And then there's not just like a ritual bath at home, there's actually a bathhouse.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. And you actually have to, and it's very procedural. There's
discipline.
actually like a checklist you need to go through. Did you do 1 through 30? And then you have an attendant who takes you down into the bathhouse.
Yeah. This,
So,
neither of these things happen in Indiana.
If there's a Hasidic community there, I bet it does happen.
Okay, there you go.
You just might not know, about
what's
it,
funny?
right?
We don't really, in Indiana, we don't have, like I did not see, for the most part, Hasid people until I moved here.
Yeah.
And you also don't see very many Muslim folks in Indiana.
I know a
What
couple of
you
people from
see,
Indiana.
Oh, I'm sure, but you just don't see it a lot. Like
exist,
you
damn
just
it.
don't. You absolutely do. We had both a mosque and a temple in my hometown. I just never saw anybody go into either of them.
Oh,
I
wow.
never did, just to be perfectly, you know. But like, I mean, this is so funny to me that you
It's
guys are
interesting,
talking
right?
about this because we don't have that at all. I don't have sex on my period because I don't want to.
Right.
I'm like, don't
but
look
you
at
would never
me.
think to ask either, right? Because you don't know that there are other kind of traditions out
I
there.
didn't
You would
know.
never know.
I didn't
You would
know.
never
And
know.
then also when you hear the stories, especially as someone who is not part of either community, the people who are usually telling you about them are people who aren't part of them either. And they get stuff so wrong that you're like, I don't even believe because like you don't know.
They're not insiders.
You know, they're not insiders. They really don't know.
But that's why it's so important to speak up. Like that's why it's so important. That's why I'm always saying, ask me. Ask me about my headscarf. Ask me about why I wear this or I do this or I say that.
Right.
Like I want to have that dialogue. I want doors to be open. And honestly, majority of my friends, both male and female, feel the same way. Like learn
bet.
it from us. Like we have voices that should be heard, and other people shouldn't be speaking for us who have nothing to do with us or don't know anything about us.
Which is happening all the
All day,
time.
every day,
People who
girl.
have
All
the
day,
right
every day.
intention
Right,
but aren't actually talking to
right,
the people from the communities. Would you have any questions for Adina?
Gosh, let me think. How did you meet your husband? Did you
Oh,
date? I want to know all about it.
So my aunt and his brother got married. Like my mother's sister and his brother got married, and we met at their wedding. So I was like, we were 9 and 10.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. Okay, so was the courtship from like, because you said you got married at 18, right?
Yeah.
So was there like
no?
a 9-year
It was more like really just we felt like we were cousins or whatever, and then I guess once we went through puberty, it changed.
It's like, oh yeah, we're actually not related, and
Yeah.
that is fantastic. Thank goodness that's the case. I know those. Trust me, I grew up in a family in Fort Wayne. I come from a very, very large family, and our thing was, you know, Ashley, do not date anybody seriously until you bring them around the family and let us look at them. Because there's a good chance they are your cousin.
That's very
because of how our family is. So just make sure you bring them around and let them look at us. And there were a few times when I had cousins who would bring a guy around who they had been seeing, and our family would go, oh, what's your name? And they would say, oh, it's this. And they would go, oh, is your grandma such and such? And they would go, yeah. And they would be like, oh, that's nice. I love her. She's the nicest lady in the world.
I love it.
Your cousin, don't do it. Thank you, ladies, so
Yes,
much for
that's
sitting
great.
down
So
and
much
having
for
this
having
conversation with me. I hope I can have both of you back soon together,
Yes,
apart,
definitely.
everything, because you
Amazing.
all have
She's
so much
amazing.
going on.
Definitely.
You guys are amazing.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you,
very
Ashley.
much.
Thanks.
And that's the show for today. And that's the season for us. We're off until Labor Day, and we're going to use that time to take a breath and work on making the show even better. If you have any suggestions, want to be on the show, or just want to say hi, please email us at 112bkcomments@bricartsmedia.org. Have a great rest of the summer, and we look forward to seeing you in September.